Yeah. Okay. Seven people and not one of you say hello. Amanda, hello. Donna Lee. Glenda, I'm glad you can make it. Hola. Elizabeth. Michelle, Liz. Melissa. Tonight is an interesting night. I didn't actually get a lot of questions. So does anybody have a question before we begin? Ray, I'm glad you can make it. Jay, I'm glad to see you. Linda, I'm glad you can make it. And yes, Jay, you are definitely trouble. So, Melissa, I'm sorry to hear that. If our family members fear for us, it's because they don't understand what we believe, and they make assumptions based off of their own beliefs. If we constantly try to please everybody else, we'll never be happy. Aisha, I'm glad you could make it. So Melissa, with your situation, I would smile nicely at your family and keep moving on. There's no point in trying to please them. You know, in the end, they'll just constantly badger you anyways. Maria, I'm glad you could make it. Jen, I'm glad you made it. And Lynn, I haven't heard from you in a long time. I'm glad you made it. And Melissa, I think that's what you should do. Enjoy your own path and move on. Julia, I'm glad you could make it. Barbara, the topic tonight is a lot of self-love. A lot of figuring out how to accept ourselves. And a couple of little questions. Look at me with my cute little ponytail. It's not that cute. It's just there. Gary, I'm glad you could make it. Devin, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Yes, it is evening, Esther. Don't think it's afternoon anymore. Must have had a long day at work. Oh, Devin, I'll get her. Miss Shaw. Devin would like to hear you say hello.
I'm making witch balls.
Okay, she's making witch balls, so it takes a lot of attention for her to make witch balls. She'll come say hello in a minute. Megan, Marion, both of you, I'm glad you made it. Barbara Wolf says hello, Shaw. Julia, that's just not fair. How are you gonna drink a cappuccino with white chocolate macadamia creamer and not share? Terry, I'm glad you could make it. Marion, no, Miss Shaw hasn't been able to talk to me. We've both been rather busy. Travel safely as you go to San Angelo. Jen, it's always nice to see you also. Well, thank you, Julia. We'll definitely leave a tip. Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara. Let me find how you said it. Barbara Wolf actually said, "Hi, Shaw baby." Yeah, hey, Shaw baby.
Get it wrong.
And then I got yelled at for not saying it just like that. So any questions before we begin? I think this is what we've got tonight. And yes, Jay, Doc needs to come tip. However, he's yet to buy his ticket for Bonefest. Aline, nice to see you. And yes, ladies, I all know that you want to see Doc. We'll leave that subject alone. Carrie, I'm glad you could make it. Wendy, so glad you made it. So I have managed to get the same of you most of the weeks. And this works out really well in my favor, except we've ran out of questions. I've barely had anybody ask any questions. Had a couple of repeat questions, so we're going to cover those again real quick. Marion, he probably is chicken. Tagana, I'm glad you could make it. Lisa, Hannah, both of you, I'm glad you made it. How's my rice drying? Is it getting dry?
Pretty much.
Okay. Yes, Hannah, I haven't even started yet and you made it. Sagana, when is the best day to do any enemy work? Right after you're not angry. What? I said we would discuss cultural appropriation. I have no problem with that. And Linda, I've been trying to drill a few things in a few people's heads also, so I completely understand. Esther, the best way to make a puppet? Watch Miss Shaw's video. You can find it. Did you put it on YouTube?
I did.
Under Inexplicable Things, right?
Miss Shaw.
Huh?
Miss Shaw.
You can find it in YouTube under Miss Shaw Inexplicable Things. And Devin, yes, Miss Shaw would do spiritual cleansing on your kids, but wouldn't it be easier just to give them a bath? Victoria, I'm glad you made it. Hannah almost says hello. You know, if you would just sit down and watch the video, you would see all these hellos. Are there any other questions? Carrie Morgan says she loves her goodies.
Yay!
Victoria, I'm glad you're feeling much better. Always good to hear. It's all right, Julia. You haven't missed anything yet? So, let's go ahead and get started. Devin, it's a couple of things tonight. I'm going to start with the 3 types of meditation. Several members that are on tonight asked for some clarification on the 3 types. So, type 1, which we should do every single day, is awareness meditation. This takes place in 2 parts. The first part is when we actually open our mind up to a single question. Megan, I'll talk more about grounding and clearing again tonight also. So, awareness and the awareness meditation starts with asking ourselves a single question. And we ponder that question until we get what we think might be the answer. And this one's really interesting because most of Einstein's theories came from awareness meditations. And then he went and proved them. So, and he did really well by doing it that way. Awareness meditations is about learning how to listen to our inner selves, then going and doing the research to determine if what we believe to be the truth is the truth. So this helps us because when we don't have time to do the research, sometimes all we've got time to do is an awareness meditation. We can find the answer. And what I like most about awareness meditations is we can actually do them sitting at a stoplight, right before we go to bed, standing in the shower. There really isn't a wrong way to do an awareness meditation. It's asking yourself a singular question. And by asking that question, you open up the possibilities of what the answers could be. And the longer you think about it, the more clear it becomes. And then we tie that to the second part, which is research. So once we have a piece of the answer, or what we think is the answer, then we go discover if the answer was correct. This is a very unique way of doing it, but in the end, it's the most powerful way of doing it. And it makes it so that when we combine this meditation with the other 2 meditations, that there's nothing that we can't figure out in our lives. And beliefs, and interpersonal communications, and business, and money, and wealth, and magic. Doesn't matter. If we're doing awareness meditations every single day, we're becoming more aware of what's going on in our lives. The second meditation, and it should be done at least 2 to 3 times a week, is the discipline meditation. And the discipline meditation is The best one, the best modern version of one, is yoga. But discipline meditation is teaching ourselves that our mind is in control of our bodies. Our body's limited only by what we believe it can do. So when we sit in an uncomfortable position for a length of time, holding a particular posture, and we push ourselves beyond it so that we have to use our mind to control that pain and discomfort, enlightens us to realize that our mind controls the body doesn't control the mind. If you don't want to feel physical pain, all you have to do is push it out of you. All you have to do is tell your mind, ignore that pain. And through discipline, you can actually do it. I actually have a tattoo on my arm that was a 9-hour sitting. And that 9-hour sitting was free for me because I bet the tattoo artist that I could sit longer than he could. And at the end of 9 hours, I wasn't bleeding out, and he could no longer sit up straight because his back hurt so much. So I got the tattoo for free. I didn't bother to tell him that I can choose whether or not I feel physical pain. It's a choice, just like everything in life is a choice. But because of it, I've got a beautiful piece, and I didn't pay for it. So, the third meditation is the creative meditation. This is where we make something. The creation meditation helps us get closer to the mother of creation, or the spiritual concept behind creation, or world creation. And as we get closer to the idea of creation, we gain more enlightenment yet again. And we gain power over our lives. So it's important that we take the other two meditations and apply them in a way that we get to make something. Some people paint, some people draw. I drum for my creation. I clear my mind and ground myself through a drumming ceremony. That I actually appropriated from 3 different cultures. Okay? I appropriated the style of drum from Native American. I appropriated the rhythm that I follow by Africans in Northern Africa. And I appropriated the actual music that I sang during the meditation from Scandinavian Norsemen from pre-Viking Age. So I can appropriate as long as I'm respectful on how I do it. I will never trade my drum. It makes the perfect sound, and I'm thankful that the Native Americans discovered and put together a cowhide drum that's meant to be held in our hands. Works great. But I create music. I create sound. And I do it just for me. Nobody else gets to hear it because it's not listening music. It's guiding music. It's music designed to instill power. So, those are the 3 forms of meditation. Any questions about the 3 forms of meditation? And yes, Jake, you're correct. You could bite your pinky off, just as if it was a carrot. But for some reason, our mind won't let us. Unless we learn how to overcome that, we can never bite our pinky off. A mother can never lift a car off of her dying, crushed baby because her mind, if she's logical, her mind won't allow it. But if she becomes illogical and she no longer thinks rationally, all of a sudden There we go. We're back. It doesn't spaz out often, but if it spazzes out, give it a minute. I usually come back. Any questions about the 3 forms of meditation? Zachary, I'm glad you could make it. Ray, you're welcome. And yes, Julia, I cannot believe I used the word spaz. I'm clearly showing my age. No, Marion, it's hot as the dickens and dry. No storms. Just once in a while, my Wi-Fi decides to take a timeout. Samantha, I'm glad you could make it. Wisteria, I'm glad you made it. So, if there's no questions about meditation, the next thing I want to talk about, just a little bit, is identifying our own beliefs. So, because most real pagan belief systems were never written down, or their texts were destroyed by conquerors, Megan, that would be interesting. And it's okay that you're slow. Not in that way. How to do disciplined meditation with a sensory processing disorder. It doesn't have to be pain. Yoga, pushing yourself into the scorpion pose, isn't about discomfort. It's about mind and body control. So you start off and you can barely lift your feet off the ground behind you, and over time and practice, eventually you're sitting up looking like a scorpion, all, feet over your head. And that's why I encourage yoga for the disciplinary one. It doesn't have to be pain, mind control. It just has to be mind over body, ritualistic behavior. And yoga is a great example when we get into the more advanced poses, because it forces you to push your body with your mind to achieve something greater. Wisteria, how long before I do another spell? I don't do many spells live, so PM me. I'm not real sure what you're asking. So, any other questions about the meditations before I move on? Danielle, I'm glad you made it. How long is my lag?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
You're supposed to say hello.
I know. I didn't know that you were stopping.
So, Miss Shaw is going to say hello, everybody. So everybody get real quiet. Stare at your screen.
Oh, stop. Hello, babies.
There you go, Devin.
Stop it.
I'm only a star because Miss Shaw sits in the same room while I'm talking. Robin Larkin says hello.
Hello, Miss Rob.
Oh, okay. That would make sense, Wisteria. I'm sorry for the confusion. Danielle says hello. Devin sends hearted eyes. They all love you. I'm not really here. Hello, hello, hello.
I love you all.
So, doing continual workings after a working's been completed. Miss Shaw and I happen to believe on the same theory of this one. If you do a particular working for a particular event, you should do it once. Because the minute you go to do it a second time, your doubt just negated the working you did. And now the universe might actually think you want to just keep working for this and not actually want it. And so it makes it harder. So now, if you're doing, like Wisteria's example here, a money working and then going to do a well-being working, those are two separate events, two separate occurrences. As long as you don't tie the well-being working into that money working, you don't have to wait any time, because energy is infinite, and that's in another one of my videos. But if energy is infinite, you'll never be drained of your magic, of your energy. So if you can't be drained of your energy, then you can do working on top of working. I'm currently doing 26 workings. So, and I work them every day until they're finished. And some of them have taken a rather long time. And that's, those of you here know exactly who you are. And that's your fault for fighting it and not just accepting it. We have to accept the universe's efforts and trust that things will happen. Okay? And yes, Samantha, whether it doesn't matter if you're praying, petitioning a god, petitioning a Loa, whatever you believe, if you do it once, that gets the message out there. It's like calling your best friend and then not answering. You don't call your best friend and they don't answer, so you leave a message saying, "Hey man, call me." And then 2 minutes later, call them again or text them. And you start stalking them because they haven't called you. And you go knock on their door. Oh, by the way, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They should have answered you. They should call you already. And it's been 3 minutes. No. Well, it's the same way in the spirit world. Don't do a working and then turn around and do another working unless a reader told you this is going to take 3 workings. And these are the 3. And be careful. If the reader is wanting you to pay them for the working, get a second opinion. Because any working should take very little time if the person we're doing the working for truly trusts us and believes that we can do it. It's when doubt creeps in that we have a problem. Yes, Linda. And actually, they cancel each other out. So if you do a working, and this is an interesting concept. So you do a working for money. And then you turn around and do another working for prosperity. They actually cancel each other out because now the universe is confused about what you want. And hello, Deb. I didn't see you sneak in. Different workings with different intentions. If you're awake and you have time to do them, do them. Make sure that your intention is focused. Make sure that you're channeling the right energy and you're not thinking about something else. Typically, I go ground myself between workings, so I don't blend my intentions, and it helps me. So, and that was one of the questions tonight, was what is grounding? So that's where we're going to go next, is what is grounding. Does anybody have any other questions about doing multiple workings? Neelam, I'm so glad you made it. Workings during a full moon versus a new moon. Personal belief structure. So if you believe that you have to do a working on a particular moon cycle, and it helps eliminate doubt, then do it on that moon cycle. Personally, I believe it has to do with the wording and the petition of the working. So if I can only bring something in on a particular moon cycle and I'm on the opposite moon cycle, then rather than bringing something in, I change my wording. So I'm giving myself something. So I'm putting it out rather than bringing it in. So Aisha, if you hot-footed somebody and then you were told to do a road opener and a blockbuster, odds are there was something between your hot foot and the target, and so the road opener and blockbuster makes it so that the hot foot would work correctly. This happens a lot when we work for ourselves and we don't trust ourselves and we go to a third-party reader. We have a tendency of being told, cleanse yourself, do away with what you've already done, and do it again. It's a kind of way of clearing the air so that we can go ahead and put the right intentions forward. Wisteria, they've got reading programs at most libraries. If you're referring, read Bones. I didn't read it all the way. I was trying to be funny. To read Bones, there's several good books out there to start with. Then you have to find a bone reader and apprentice under them. I happen to not read Bones. Michelle, I love the moon. Luna and I have a very unique relationship, and it's a very old relationship. But I don't need her to conjure. And yet, Deb, you're correct. No matter what her moon is, no matter what she looks like, she's there. Many, many years ago, I proved to a person that the moon was always full for me, no matter what the cycle is. And it was just a matter of perception. So, grounding. Grounding or clearing needs to be done anytime we feel like we're holding on to something. We have to identify what it is we're holding on to, and we have to push that energy into something that can support it. So, Julia, no, you're not stuck with it. You can re-emphasize a working with Miss Shaw and I play with the word booster. So, let's say you did a money drawing, and you think you got it right, but you got a little bit of doubt. Do a booster working, being thankful for the working manifested, and repetitioning so that there's clarity about what it was you really wanted. But by being thankful for it, now you've turned that working. It's not a new working. It's a thankful offering for the working that was going to manifest. It's all on how you twist your words. Everyone thinks that Papa Legba is tricky. It's not that he's tricky. It's he listens to what you say, and he gives you exactly what you ask for. And yes, Deb, I have to apprentice under somebody who really knows what they're doing. I imagine some people can pick up a deck of cards and learn their meanings and start working it and, become a semi-successful card reader. Bones, I don't think it works that way. I think Bones, Deb is right, it's an art form. It requires skill tied to the hands and the spirit. Maria, I'm sorry I missed it. It was going too fast. Ask it again. Trying to catch those hearts. One of you likes it when the hearts run into my mouth. Oh no. Where is it, Maria? Haley, it's okay that you're late. So Maria, ask the question again because I can't find it. There you go. Absolutely, Maria. Multiple workings on the same target or the same outcome will always create that anomaly where they'll fail each other. And yeah, Deb, it's racing along, huh? It should. If I had someone working against me, first off, you have to adjust your belief system so that nobody can do work against you, and you have to believe it. The greatest defense isn't a circle. A circle is one-dimensional, right? So I draw a circle, right? If I draw a circle. Doesn't matter what I draw it with. It's one-dimensional. This world we live in is three-dimensional. And there's a fourth dimension to it that we can't see because we're solid. And everything we look at is solid. And then there's others, oh my goodness. Then there's a cat dimension. Like Voodoo, the giant cat. So, if all I do is draw a circle of protection, it's only protecting me on a two-dimensional plane. What about all the other dimensions that I might exist in? So the best way to protect yourself is to build a belief system that says nobody can do negative work to you. And when you can build that, then it becomes true. So Jennifer, you asked, can a spirit of a loved one's body jump, so to speak? such as jumping into a loved one's body who is still alive. I have heard of similar events. I have never seen one. So, although it wouldn't be something I would ask for because the outcome could be very ugly, I wouldn't doubt it unless the person that the loved one jumped into is somebody who with questionable morals. And Julia, yes, they're in a cat dimension. They're in their own dimension altogether. And Deb, sweetheart, you were protected with things. Nothing will ever harm you. So grounding. Unless there's more questions. Can I talk about grounding? Grounding is when we take excess energy that is if your target believes they can't be harmed, then you have to figure out how to petition around it. And Michelle, people can be working against you, just being unsuccessful. So Aisha, if my target seems to be unaffected by my work, then I make assumptions and I give them something that the spirit world will grant them because they ask for it. And it's a sneaky way of cursing somebody with something that they outright take. They pick it up. They do it to themselves. And that's really what hot foot powder is, or goofer dust. These are things that are so subjective to the idea that the victim actually hexes themselves, jinxes themselves. So it's no longer working against them. They did this shit to themselves. And that's how you become successful. Jennifer, when the spirit calls, the spirit calls. I understand completely. Alicia, that was actually the biggest thing I wanted to talk tonight about, was what we do to ourselves. And Michelle, yes, you can hotfoot somebody or goofer them without actually being where they are. Otherwise, Miss Shaw and I wouldn't be in business. Or we'd be traveling a lot. Again, it goes back to our personal belief system. If you believe it can happen, it can happen. And Deb, thinking of yourself as a bulletproof car is exactly correct. You're safe as long as you don't open the door. So, excess energy many times is classified as negative energy. It's important that we disillusion ourselves with the idea that energy is positive or negative. Universal energy is just energy. It flows like positive, negative energy, but it doesn't hold a polarity. So, if that's the case, then why does bad things happen? Because the energies around us allowed for us to manifest bad things. It wasn't negative energy. It's just the way we use that energy. So when we get depressed, we draw more depression because that's the energy we feed on. Because we're depressed. Until eventually nothing in our world goes right. And when nothing in our world goes right, we have a tendency of just grabbing more depressive energy. And we can't break the cycle. We get hung up in it. And we start to hear these people who've done this, and they start talking about how desperate they are and how they've done everything they can do. And you know what? They probably in their mind have done everything that they could do. And then now they're using coping mechanisms to make it so that now they can't do the one thing they have to do to undo it. To undo a cycle of depressive action, you have to have a positive, supportive thought. And this is where those of you who've been in my sessions before, I talk about self-love. Loving yourself is the easiest and most powerful tool we have. If we learn to love ourselves unconditionally, we learn to love ourselves for our faults and for our strengths, and we learn to push anything that is a bad thought away, then when we have those moments of downs, we identify them for what they are, we process through them, and we move on. Yes, Deb, we'll talk about how people curse themselves with bad relationships. So it's key that we love ourselves. And if any time you feel or say or do something that isn't expressing self-love, then what happens if you hold on to that is it starts to fester. So what you have to do is you've got to find a way to get rid of it. And I've come up with two really good ways. One is a toilet paper roll. Walk around all day with a roll of toilet paper and a Sharpie. Write down those negative thoughts. Every time you go to the bathroom, wipe your bum with them. Those negative thoughts, that's what they're good for. To wipe your bottom and to flush them down the toilet. The other one is to write them on a piece of paper and burn them. Either way, get rid of them because they mean absolutely nothing. Tasha, workings backfire because of doubt and misintention. Start working on a working, a piece of doubt creeps in, then you think to yourself, what if this comes back on me? What if there's karma and I'm going to have karmic impact on my life because of this working? Well, that's how workings turn on you and backfire. And yes, Wisteria, if you believe that you'll have someone that'll love you for you and you love yourself, then that reality will come true. At the same time, if a person you're with for a short time does anything that reflects anything other than love for you, you need to cut them loose. Because if somebody does something that contradicts self-love in your life, then they're a cancer that's going to destroy your self-love. And anything that destroys your self-love, you should seek it out and destroy. And Tasha, yes, you can stop those thoughts by destroying them. Writing them on a piece of paper. Most people tell me when I explain to them, take that negative thought and write it down and burn it. Take that negative thought and write it on a roll of toilet paper and use it. And they're like, But that doesn't do away with the negative thought. Not the first time. Maybe not the 10th time. But sometime, you'll stop having that negative thought. Because your mind will start to see that it's being destroyed and related. So Michelle, do the awareness meditation, a little bit of discipline meditation, and then come back with the creative meditation and do the working the right way. And that's the secret to get out of that cycle that you're in right now. So, the toxic relationship. If he's a cheat, why change him? Walk away. Before he brings something home that you can't get rid of. If he's abusive, you can't change him. You don't live in his reality. He's living in yours. Walk away. If she is a nag, as in, and I'm talking, nothing you do in your life is right. You can't change her. She doesn't live in your reality. She's a visitor. Walk away. When we get away of the negative influence in our life, we make room for more positive influence. Because any time there's a void, the universe fills that void with something. If that something's more negative, we pull it out and throw it away, the universe is going to try something different. So, if we get rid of the negative influence, the next influence may also be negative, but it'll be in a different way. You get rid of that one too, and eventually the right influence comes into our lives. And those are the ones we hold on to until they walk away. But this idea that, I'm so much in love with this man, he's the dream of my life, we're soulmates, we're meant to be together, I've had readers tell me that we're meant to be together. I've got news for you. I've never told anybody that they're with their soulmate or they're with the person that they're meant to be with. I've told them they're in a good relationship, but they got to work at it. I've told them that there's some trouble coming, and if they work together, they'll be able to fix it. There's no such thing as a perfect mate without work. You have to make that become a thing. There's no such thing as a soulmate that can't be destroyed because of choice. You have to make it work. They have to make it work because it's two realities coming together and trying to coexist. And it's when they try to coexist and they forget about self-love by both that it fails. If he's narcissistic, if he's abusive, if he destroys you in any way, shape, or form, cut him loose. Walk away. Oh, and if he isn't with you and you're obsessing over him, you better look in the mirror and fix yourself. Because he's not coming back. As long as you're obsessing over him, he can't come back. Because the universe doesn't see a void. They see you wanting to obsess over him. You have to create a void for the universe to bring him back. And that void is, I'm ready to be in love again. I wonder who it'll be. And the universe is going to make the best choice for you and make it happen. And yes, Deb, probably, I won't curse an ex for a client until my clients moved on to the point that they no longer asked for the curse. Then I'll send the curse. And the reason being is, well, and some of you in the group have done it, curses rub off on the people around the person who's cursed. So if you send a curse after a guy because you're mad as hell at him, and then 2 weeks later you're having dinner with him, guess what you just gave yourself? You just cursed yourself through love and relationship. There's no reason to keep cursing all these people. There's no reason to keep bending people's wills. If the man doesn't love you, go find one who does. I was taught at a young age by a very smart man, there are 10,000 perfect people in this world for you. And every time one leaves, stop and think about how many you've encountered. 10,000 perfect people for you. You can start worrying about the past lovers and the past relationships when you've ran out of 10,000 people. And yes, Melissa, the best thing most of us ever did was walk away. And Wisteria, no relationship is perfect, but no relationship should be toxic. If it doesn't feel like self-love, it belongs in the toilet. Any other questions tonight? Pamela, so all you can do is walk away from him. Teach your daughter to be strong without him. Oh, Danielle. My conversation tonight wasn't about anybody in particular. Julia, not that I know of, but I don't take any medications. I would imagine that if you can't have clear intent, that it would be a challenge. But I think it would just go back to your belief system. You don't know what self-love is? Self-LOL? Self. You. You know what it is. Stop giving me a hard time. I will hunt you down and beat you, little one. Wisteria, I hope it helps. We care about each and every one of you, and we want to help you along on your path. We just want you to make the right choices in your life. That ex-lover is never the right choice. Moving forward, cleansing and healing yourself, those are right choices. Then, when everything is right and everything's perfect, then the right lover will be there. Deb, I don't know where you are, but I'll get rain tonight, hopefully. Carrie, I'm glad you learned something tonight. Ponder it. Come back and watch the video a couple more times. That'd be a good way to believe, Julia. So Megan, it would start with the 3 meditations. As you learn to master the 3 meditations, then you learn to be the master of your conjure because you can control your intent. It surprises me that most books that teach people how to conjure and cast magic don't start with some form of the 3 meditations. The idea of going straight into doing conjure work when you don't have control of your mental paralysis, no, wrong word, prowess, that you'd be shooting in the dark. And to me, that's not effective. All you're doing is wasting energy and probably causing some form of damage. It's much better to, when we start and this is a good thing to teach our young ones, if we start the journey to become a witch or a conjurer, start with being in control of ourselves. Do the awareness meditations and the discipline meditations and the creative meditations. And then the magic will come to you because you'll find it. The universe is full of magic. Everything we see every single day is majestic to such an extent that if we're doing the 3 meditations, everything else becomes simplistic. I hope you all had a good night. I hope you learned a lot. Come back and watch it again. I hope you have a beautiful day tomorrow. And as always, do it your way. Good night. We love you. Be safe. And enjoy your journeys.